All right, today is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and we're going to do a live market reading slash trade session. And today I'm looking at YM, which is the Dow, and just sat down to get started. It is 8:27 Eastern Time, and got some news about to come out. You're looking at my 10-tick chart, and I want to point out what I do to get started in the morning before I trade as well, because that's important. So first of all, if you look up here in the top left corner, I have my news being displayed of what's coming out. So at 8:30, unemployment claims. Then we have CPI. These are going to be some pretty big reports today. So we treat that with a dark zone. Basically, don't trade at 8:30 and wait a few minutes to 5 minutes afterwards to see how the market's going to respond. So first things first, on my trade chart, I select my account, the proper account, make sure it's not on sim anymore, it's selected, and um, off to the right over here, I don't display it because I don't want my account numbers shown to the world, but I do that, and then I go in my Apex trade copier. Let's see, and make sure that is connected with all the correct accounts. And I'm not going to show that one either because it'll show all my account numbers as well. But if you know about the trade copier, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I'll put a link in the description so you can see what the trade copier is all about. So then what I do is I do like to pull up financialjuice.com, but I like to do so on my phone and leave it streaming in case if any, crazy news pops up. I'll just show you what it looks like here. Let's see. Pull it up here so you can see. It'll show streaming news, breaking news, things like that. So you can see the times. This is, to the minute. So I like to have that on my phone next to me so I can see that. And also, if I put it on my phone next to me, that'll keep me from getting distracted if the market's slow and jumping on my phone. So I do that, and then I analyze the market. What happened? What happened overnight? What happened this morning? News came out. Market's gonna move now. So here's my 30 tick chart. I look at this one. Well, I see what happened. Look back, look at levels. See, we have double mini magnets up here, double mini magnets up there. Kind of squinch it up, scroll back, see what happened. Where did the market move all night? Where's some levels? So 32,200 area, has some nice levels there. So kind of get a little grasp of what happened. Okay, let's see. Where are we now? Okay, then I have my simplicity chart, of course. I show my 10 tick chart because my trades and where I want my trades are usually based on what's going on the 10 tick chart, as well as I look at the 30 tick chart for any obstructions that may be in the way of my trades. Also, I look at my 50 tick for chop zones, and it's been a bit choppy overnight. So let me bring that up here. 50 tick. Oops. There we go. So you can see we have some little chop zones here, little drop, couple. So no like really nice runs. And all the way, I mean, this is overnight. It didn't really do much overnight. You can see the market opened back here for the evening session, and it just kind of stayed between settlement minus zero point 0.5 dev, but not really any much. There's a couple little straight runs, but not very much, compared to some areas like back here. You see how it's got some better runs. Of course, this is during the market's open, so it's going to have better runs. But overnight, didn't do too much. Okay, so I always check all my charts. I look back. Okay, so now, I mean, we do have a simplicity long going up, but it is based off of the news that just happened. So let's see. Mm, all right. Yeah, just some news. Now we are running up. Let's see. We're at those double mini magnets now on the 30 tick chart that I showed. Oh, another thing I do too, I need to make sure and let you know two more things. Just got a little distracted with the news. Is I refresh these. These are my flux levels and dynamic magnets. Refresh them before I get started. Okay, and then just minimize it. Now it's having a hard time breaking these double mini magnets on the 30 tick, which is exactly where this mini magnet is on this 10 tick chart. We have a nice red eye zone right up here as well on my simplicity chart. See if I can bring that up. Okay, there it is. And it couldn't bust those double mini magnets. So this simplicity move that we're in right now, it's not the best. I mean, it made its way back up because if it was to give me an LRE, it'd be right here on the dev, this dev level here. But see, the problem is now there's a cluster on the 30 tick. So that would mean I'm stuck in this, between this magnet and this deviation level. There is room to profit in between, but looking back, I mean, it's hit its head on this level here many times. And if you look, that's also 33,000 level. That's a 000. So I kind of wanted to break that first before I take an LRE. See now the LRE entry moved back down to here, 32,953. So to take an LRE down here, I gotta come back up through the dev. There's a cluster, like I said, right here on the 30 tick in the middle. And then you have the 33,000 level. And then you have these double mini magnets right here. So that's one I'm not very excited about. And this is not HD, by the way. You might be seeing this 350%. But if you look back, it pulled down, it made a lower low. So if this pullback was a higher low up here, then we'd have HD. But in this case, it's not. And, left us a little mini magnet right here at this top. If you look left, there's all this top area, right? So it's not really a very great sign that this wants to bounce up and keep going. Like right now would be the LRE entry. And it might work. Like I've said before, there's every trade at the end of the day, when you hit that button, it's either going to win or lose 50%. But I want the odds stacked in my favor. And in this case, I mean, you do have a star low volume score too right here, but it's not one that I love. And for me, with my money management, my 40 ticks a day, I want trades that I love or that has just a lot really going for it. And as you can see, this would have lost. Would have got in here and let's see, where would it have been? Entry would have been at 32,955. 35 would have been my stop. So I would have been stopped out. Again, just like my last video, my last trading session video, much of this trading is knowing when not to take a trade. So as you can see, it was a simplicity burst off of news, hit those double dynamic magnet or mini magnets up here, come down. Here was our LRE right here. It went up about 10, 12 ticks and came down and would have lost. So now we are going to wait and see what happens. Just okay. It looks like it's trying to give a short here. As you can see, we're hitting a mini magnet right now. We have this red ice level. So basically, if I'm looking for it to break short, I don't want to, if it gives me simplicity short underneath this, that'd be nice. Because you can see back here, it kind of broke it a little bit. I mean, so when you have a mini magnet like this, a mini magnet, it broke, came back up, and ran down again and laid a mini magnet on that same level. Couldn't quite go down further. But then look, when it came back up here, ran down, tested the level again, and left another mini magnet in that area. And look below, there's a lot of clusters right here. And that's the area we're trying to break now, if it goes short. So it's already been down here this morning, about, let's see, what time was that? Yeah, about 30 minutes ago or so, and couldn't run down further. Had a lot of clusters, which is basically telling you there was a little bit of a fight there. Laid those mini magnets and couldn't go much further. So we pretty much have a like a big zone, I call it. And I want it to break out of this zone before I take a trade. Like right now, we have it gave us simplicity short. It didn't go very far, and now it's pulling back to give a LRE short. But this is another one I don't like because we're in this zone. If you look up here, this is kind of the top around 33,000, and here's around the bottom, 32,868 ish. This area, so I want it to break out. So now we just wait and see if it happens. And if it never does, well, I never take a trade. Because no trade is better than forcing one and regretting it. I mean, because that's what happens many times. Excuse my voice, kind of losing my voice a little bit, but that's what happens many times. Is we are in this, you know, kind of zone range. Market's not moving very much. Um, we get eager to take a trade, and then it loses, and we say, "Well, I knew probably shouldn't have taken that one anyways." And then you kind of get mad at yourself. And if your discipline isn't there yet, then you try to get it back, and that's just no good. That's no good. Okay, so now it's trying to break this little bit of an area here. All right. I have my charts on global, so if I move one chart, then it'll move all the other charts. And the reason why I do that is because I like to line up my, my price line and everything here. So I like to look, because I take my trades, I actually enter my trades on the simplicity chart, but I like to see, put my crosshairs here and be able to look on the 10 tick and all the charts and see exactly where it is. That's why I do the global. So right now, I mean, there's just not a lot happening right this second. It is trying to keep going short and see if it can break this ice level here. We're hitting this mini magnet. We've got some ODD on the 10 tick, so I take that into account as well as this is coming down, because I want this to come down with some more momentum, not just come down to maybe this mini magnet and have ODD and go back up. We just kind of need to get out of this little just area that it's hanging out in. I was wondering why my charts were so quiet. I just realized I had my PC on mute, so all my charts were muted. And some mornings are gonna be this way. I'm gonna check and see what NQ is looking like right now. Normally I trade the NASDAQ NQ, but it's just been so zippy and skippy and low liquidity lately that yeah, like right now there's no liquidity on NQ, and it's just zipping all over the place. Let me pull that up here so you can see. See, that's NQ right now. And if you look here, look at these bars. There's some numbers in it now, but there's so many with zeros, ones, twos. That's very little liquidity. And look how it's just zipping, right? Now this is good if you're trading what we have called as a simplicity trade. But you have to be very disciplined and know how to read the market well for sure if you're going to do simplicity, because it's great. But at the same time, if you're not careful, you can get crushed. So, let's see here. All right. Now we look like we're trying to break short. We look like it's wanting to give us a simplicity setup. And we do have a simplicity short now. Market's waking up a little bit. So there is a simplicity short. Now, I want to make this point here. If we get a simplicity short, I want it to run down quite a bit. But if you look, this wall was the bottom recently, right? So if it hits this bottom, so what I like to do is, okay, look left here. It couldn't break this ice level quite a bunch of times, right? Quite a few times. Now that it's broken through, what happens many times is it'll run down, pull back, and test that area that it couldn't break, or right around that area. Doesn't always happen, but a lot of times it does. Those are the LREs that I really like. When it just breaks out, pulls back up to test somewhere around this bottom area here, which would be around 32,900. That's a good number and level here to take an LRE back short. Now, looking left, what happened last time it hit this wall? It bounced up and ran all the way back up. So that's always a chance as well. That can always happen. We never know. We can't predict the market. But if it gives me an LRE there, where I'm just talking about, that would be an area of interest for me. Now, what I would like a lot too is if it broke this wall and then came back up and tested. So like, for example, if it broke the wall, is there any order? Yeah, there's no prints down here. So if it broke where it's breaking and ran down here around 820, somewhere in this area, and then came back up and tested this wall and dev to go back short, would be nice. The only thing I don't like is, around the deviation levels, it can chop. Let's see, an LRE now would be at 879, 32,879 here. And I always make sure I have my 20 ticks room to profit. So I do. Looks like I might get an LRE here. If it pulls up a little bit more, let's pull up to about this 877 area. And if it added HD, if it had HD on there, okay, so now the pullback would be up around 884 up here. That'd be a perfect spot for an LRE if it pull up to here. Because, you see there was that mini magnet right here before. And if it gave HD as well to go back short, I would love that one. So about 884, that means I would need to get to 864 for profit, and there's room before the wall. Now the LRE entry would be at 879, 880, right in that area. It it just printed a cluster on this wall on the 3 tick. Okay, now the LRE entry would be here at 869, 871, about 871, which is not a lot of room now, but there's still room. So it might come up. Now it's just kind of chopping a little bit on the simplicity chart on this wall and deviation level. 865 would be an LRE, but that's kind of tight now. So I'd actually want this to break short first. Go ahead and run short. It may or may not happen, but I would like it to come down further now because that LRE just got a lot tighter. And we're chopping on this wall. So now an LRE would be at 860, but I'm not going to take it. It's too tight now. So now I really need this to run down further, short. You know, and it's chopping at this wall. So I want it to prove, like right now is an LRE entry. But there's not room for me to feel comfortable. Because the entry would have been here, 864. So 44 would be the profit. Right at the dev. And it might work, but see, I don't feel comfortable. There's a cluster on the 30 tick right here on this wall. Simplicity just chopped on the wall for 8 bars or so. And it hasn't broken this wall before to the left. It stopped at the wall. So I don't have confidence. It has not proven to me yet that it will go further. So why would I take an LRE here short that needs to come down further when it hasn't been proved to me yet that it wants to keep running down? Especially that it's chopping, you know. Yeah, you might be able to get in, get a quick little, to me, this would be a lucky 20 ticks because it's just chopping now here. So, and 20 ticks is not a lot. So it very well could, you know, chop you out of the trade. And right now, let's see, where was that entry? Oh yeah. 863 was the entry. I mean, 83 would be a 20 tick stop, so you're not out yet, but it would have spiked against you pretty hard. And it might come down and break through and win, but that's the case where I would take the second LRE, not this first one. So let me pull up the simplicity chart so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't show my whole account number. So you can see I have not taken a trade today. Not yet. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about. Came down, chop, chop. Now, if it would have came down, hit here, and then pulled up to here, like I was saying, then it would have been nice. But it chopped, chop, 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 chop. Got your spike here, chop, chop, chop. So if you're in this trade right now, you'd still be in it. You'd be kind of sweating it. Like I'd be considering this, considering hopping out if this bar closes above the red line. Or if it closes above the red line, I would actually maybe just put my stop, like it closed here, I'd probably pull my stop, because my stop would be at 83. I'd probably pull my stop up right here to 73, reduce my loss by 10 ticks since it closed behind the solid line but didn't hit my stop. I'd put my stop right here. That way, if it does knock me out and run up, I only lost 10 ticks versus 20. And remember, it needs to go to 43 for this one to be considered a winner if we took this LRE. And that's just kind of how I would manage this trade. Spiked up right here. Maybe you would have got filled, maybe not. There you go. Would be out with a 10 tick loss instead of a 20 tick. Because I got to be honest, this trade would not be looking good if you were in it. Even though it hasn't quite hit the 83 stop loss, it's about to. Looks like it. And if you're just holding on to this trade, saying, please come down, come on. If you go back to break even again, I'll get out this time. I mean, I used to do that too. Because when every time it comes back down, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be the time it goes down. And then it goes right back up. And then as it's going up and it's about to hit your stop, you're saying, come on, come on, come on, come on. Go back down, go back down, go back down. Go back down. If it goes to break even, this time I'll get in. But as soon as it comes back to break even, you say, oh, well, now it might go. And you keep repeating it until it either wins or you get a full loss. Like we got in back here. Well, if you took it. As I said, I wouldn't have taken it. At 8:54. So you've been sitting in this thing for 6 minutes, just about. Now 9 o'clock's about to happen, and there might be a rush of more traders come in, and you get a pop. You don't want that pop to go against you. If you get a pop. It doesn't always happen. Just got so close again to your stop. So, and right now, I mean, I'm not even looking at a trade because there's no simplicity run. And that's why I like LREs too. You know, there's no, you have to have a simplicity run, a valid simplicity run for there to be a valid LRE. See, look, back to break even. And if you didn't get out now, if you would have been in this trade, then if this runs back up, you'd be saying again, I wish I would have got out. Should have got out at even. All right, I'm going to move this back down. Well, there we go. And this is what I was talking about earlier. We're in this kind of a big range. If you look, here was that bottom area. It was the wall. It broke it a little bit, but there's a deviation level there. And then the top is right up here. So it's having a hard time to really get out of there. Let's check on NQ again one time. NQ had a nice run down. Let me bring it up here. Here was a simplicity trade, ran down. Nice run down. LRE here. Okay, let's see. It's trying to break again. Now, if this can break short, this deviation level, there's not much below. If it breaks this deviation level, there's this one mini magnet right here. There's nothing on the 30 tick until 32,750. There's a wall down below. See, other than that, there's not much to stop this thing from having a nice little trend. Let's see, let me scrunch this up. Okay, this wall here. And down here below, we got a mini magnet on a dynamic magnet, and it looks like behind it, there's a ZOI. So that's a nice little target level there too, if this breaks short. Because a mini magnet on a dynamic magnet or on a wall is a very strong level. So, yeah, today is just a really slow morning. I mean, we are at the minus 0.7 deviation, so it's already come down a lot overnight. Let's see, settlement is at, well, right above, right below 33,300. So this has come down three, four, 450 points. I mean, that's a nice little move down overnight. So when you have an overnight move like that, a lot of times this morning pre-market session will be kind of dry, kind of slow. So even though I'm a scalper, I'm not sitting there taking 50 million trades. I'm taking maximum of 3 trades a day for the entire day. That's all I want is 3 trades. If I get 2 winners, that's my 40 ticks. If I get 2 losers, that's my 40 ticks loss for the day. If I start with a loser and then my next one is a winner, then it depends on the market if I take a third one. Because some days it's better just to end the day with a 0 than a negative. Because if I took a loss, why did I take that loss? Was it a great trade and it just lost because we know every trade loses eventually, sometimes? Or was it my own fault? Took a trade I wasn't supposed to? Or is there something really weird going on in the market? And my second one wins. So if my second one, if that's the scenario, my first one won, my second one won, why did my first one lose? Is the market fine? Did it straighten up my second trade? Does it still look good? Then I'll take a third. It's the only really time that I'll take a third trade is if I have a loss and a winner. And it depends on the market. And I only give myself an hour of trading time anyways. So if I've reached my hour, then that's it, I'm done. If I give myself too much time in the market, if I'm sitting there in front of the computer all day long, I mean, it really doesn't end very well. I found out. So I had to, through my journey of figuring out self-discipline, I had to definitely limit my time, my screen time. And it's still, I mean, look, there's not, look at this 10 tick chart. There's been very few bars since we hit this wall. And the simplicity chart is just moving sideways right at this wall. Let's see, that trade, did that LRE ever close out? No. Yeah, it actually would have ended up eventually winning. But that would have been a nail biter because entry was back here at about 54. Wait, 54? No, 64, 63. So 43. The first time it broke, it was over here. Whew. Might have been about 9 minutes into that one, and it would have eventually won, but I mean, it really looks like it's wanting to break short. Just not too sure if it's going to happen in the next 10 minutes or so. I mean, it's going to break out eventually. So, you know, with the type of trading I do in these type of videos, the biggest thing you can pick up from it is what I'm looking at for my LREs, why I would take an LRE, and most importantly, why I would not take an LRE. Well, might not get anything. Okay, let's see. Let's see if this is the breakout now. And some days, in 10 minutes, I hit my goal. You know, some days I come in, do my morning routine, look at the markets, and it's a good morning. You know, it's moving pretty well. And 10 minutes, hit my goal. Some days in 10 minutes, I hit my loss limit. Some days it takes me an hour to get a trade. It all depends. Let me pull up check out the liquidity right now. See, it's even a little low on YM. I mean, we at least have full bars, but I mean, zeros and ones. So liquidity is a little bit on the low side. Cluster. And, you know, like I said, when this price got down here, when I said if you look left up here, what happened when it broke through? It hit this wall. You had some chop, some clusters. And so that's pretty much happening right now at this wall. It's looking like it wants to give us simplicity short here. And we are getting close to the open. We have about 29 minutes until the market open. So at about 9:25, we have a dark zone where we don't trade from 9:25 till about 9:35, 9:36 to allow the market to do its thing. So typically, if the market's slow like this too, when it reaches about 9:20, I kind of start considering that my dark zone. Because why do I want to hop into a trade around 9:20, 9:22 if I can't get out of it before the open? check on NQ again. NQ got choppy. Still moving. Look at that liquidity here. Whew. So I had that rundown, chopping around here, laying a whole bunch of order prints on the 30-tick chart, indicating chop. Simplicity chart going sideways, indicating chop. So it's not just YM right now. You just don't want to be in a trade. A lot of sideways movement. This is before I was on LRE here. Would have won. Okay. Probably about to call it a day here in a few more minutes. 9:15 now. Like I said, we're getting close. The market's pretty stagnant. And if it does give something here in the next 5 minutes or so, I'd be hesitant to take it anyways because we're getting close to the open. Especially when it gets choppy like that. Right now, I mean, there's just so much news going on. There was a CPI report earlier, unemployment claims, with the Russia-Ukraine crisis and sanctions and all kinds of things going on right now. Sometimes the market just gets exhausted. And overnight it ran down, what'd I say, 600 points or so? What was that? 450 points? I mean, sometimes the market takes a little bit of a breather, especially when you have multiple days of it going up and down 500, 600, 800 points. And then you'll get a day where it just needs a break, basically. This might be one of those days, or it could just be the open doesn't, the pre-market traders, the people that move the market, don't want to do anything until the open happens. They might not have any kind of bias or perception, or the market might be actually very confused right now with the news. Obviously, when the market opens, it'll move because there's always an imbalance. What moves the markets, that Mark Douglas explains so well, is an imbalance of orders. If everybody agreed exactly on the same thing, the same price, the market wouldn't move. So you're going to have a bunch of people believing, the market should go up. There's good things, good news, some good things out there, and then vice versa. And we'll just see how many more are on one side or the other. All right, well, I'm hopping off of here. It's been 50 minutes, calling it a day. It's too close at this point to the open for me to consider anything. especially being that nothing has happened. I mean, I'm going to pull up my simplicity chart again to show you. You don't want to trade in this. I have zero problem taking no trade right now. Let me blow it up. Look at that. We had that one rundown, heart attack LRE that led to completely sideways for the rest of the time. Don't trade in this mess. All right. Have a good day and trade well, everybody.